What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, and if I'm not very active this week, I guess I should say if this is my least active week total, it's because this is my finals week. I'm in my last semester of college, so I'm going to be using most of my time to study. But anyways, today I wanted to look at an old deck, or an older deck, I should say, and I was kind of giving you guys the budget Numeron striker deck, but I never really ever explored the full powered, so I thought I'd do that now, see how much better or worse it was, and I actually do like the results. So I'm going to run through these duels. I'm going to tell you about my experience, and I'll also mention that the new Numeron card, and I'm sure it's in here now. Oh, this is a Cyber Dragon player. While he does his stuff, you're obviously going to have 1,000 hand traps in the pure build, but the new card's number C1000. The conditions are impossible. It's never going to happen. I was experimenting to see if that would kind of like help the deck, but no, not at all. Anyways, the idea behind the deck is quite simple. You're here to stun your opponent with hand traps until you can kill them with Numeron Network, which is exactly what I do here. I had multiple hand traps in my hand. Widow Anchor, Infinite Impermanence, and the Ash Blossom. And if your opponent has one monster on the field, they're dead with Numeron Network, obviously. Going up to 8,000, and that's game ending. The idea, I think, is that the deck, it can go first, obviously. When you have Numeron Network, you can make Zexal. It's a little vulnerable, obviously, to some of the more popular hand traps, but at least it gives Sky Strikers a good option going first. And I told you guys about no material being one of my favorite budget options. It's kind of just one of my favorite options for the side deck in general, especially when cards like Datascape are so popular. It can prevent you from staring down a King of All Calamities. And in this case, I'm not sure why he didn't continue to go, maybe because he didn't feel he was going to get anything good on the board, but it was definitely a huge mistake, and I was able to just go for game anyways. It has a decent matchup with Datascape in my experience. I would say you win 40% of the time, they win 60% of the time. So not the best, but it could be worse. It's just unfortunate because most of the main deck cards are... The idea is that you're going to have to work hard in the side deck because most of your main deck ones like Effect Veiler and Ash just aren't that good against the deck. But once you sign cards like No Material, obviously, you have a much better chance. It's just... I don't know. Maybe you main deck No Material, I'm not sure. But we are in a brick war to end all brick wars. I do run the one Mystic Mine. It's okay. Honestly, I've thought about taking it out for more consistency, but what he's trying to do is keep negating the effects of his Juju. That way he can use the effect of Datascape. What are they calling this one? Chooch. He. No, I was right. The cool thing about Sky Strikers is if you do have 3 spells in the grave, which is what I was going for, finally, I was able to take control of his monster, and I basically dared him to destroy his own monster and go neg. He didn't, of course, which allows me to get a little bit of advantage back here. Can't activate the effect of this just yet either, so I can start going after his back row a little bit. So now I'm starting to come back a little bit here. And if you break a Datascape board, I keep saying that, it's Virtual World. If you break a Virtual World board, you have a pretty decent chance because it takes multiple cards to get their combo started. And plus they do just pour through their resources fast. That's always going to be the disadvantage of Datascape. He goes for Zeus, but he saw me add back the Afterburners. I kind of like checkmated him, I guess, in a sense. And now that I have a Pot of Avarice, it's just so good. He's going to go ahead and surrender. And who knows what I would have ripped off the top. An Area 0 and whatever. Or actually, it would have been shuffled, so I don't know. Maybe I would get on the Numeron Network and just end the game. I think this is like Dogmatica Musketeers or something. This is another interesting matchup. I may do a Magical Musketeer video one day. I've always kind of been intrigued by them. But once again, No Material just stops their churn. It's such a good card, and it's cheap too. So I figured he's going to have the pop, and he does, and that's why I grabbed the second copy. because now this is just game ending. Very simple, and this is definitely one of the best decks you can start off with in Yu-Gi-Oh! The only problem is that this deck, or the version of it, is quite expensive. In main phase 2, I was going to go for the burn damage effect. I'm also on the fence about C1 because you are leaving yourself wide open. He doesn't have another copy of Parallel, so it was kind of just a waste. Does have the Maximus. That's okay though. I did send Megaclops, which was definitely a big card in the set, because some people just don't have outs. It did a lot of work for Zodiac, so there's no reason you shouldn't play it in your build too. If Numeron Network was on the field, obviously, that would have been the end of the game. He goes to negate the effects, but at the end of the day, none of it ever mattered. Because as long as, I guess since I had the extra body, I'm able to just go for game. He's unable to destroy it. Here's a matchup against Maricis. And DD Crow is kind of scary. It was very interesting for him to do that because... yeah, it's, oh my gosh, that would have been such a bad card. But this was, I think, going into game 2, I had sided here. I like Maricis overall as an archetype. I think it's very consistent. But you just kind of leave yourself open for the most part. It's nice that you can make Bahamut Chart sometimes and Totally Awesome. But if you're able to just bait out the Totally Awesome negate, I don't know. Not much your opponent can do. So I force out the Totally Awesome. Very easy. And at this point, he doesn't have anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and activate Evenly Matched. I probably could have added that to one of my cards in that video too. Although I'm not sure if it's inexpensive. I bought mine a while ago. Knowing that I am playing Maricis though, I doubt he has any XYZ monsters strong enough. So, like I said, this is a card that's almost a must-have in this deck as a alternate win condition, and it's also extremely easy. It's easier than Zoo to make Megaclops. He can do all of this all he wants. But I have Kaijus and stuff in my deck, so anything he puts out eventually, if it has more attack, is not going to do anything. Now, he makes an Abyss Dweller. It is an XYZ monster, but it's nowhere close enough to 4,000 attack, right? And I believe these just negate. So he's just not able to get over the barrier. He's just kind of doing his thing. He's running out of extra deck space. There's not much left he can do, and before he finally realizes, wait, I don't have an out to this card. It looks like he probably made me go first, I'm going to guess. It's very nice that Harpy's Feather Duster is an affordable card. Now I definitely need to pick up my copy. I was hoping that Kevin would pick one up and maybe one of the sets he bought for maximum gold, but it didn't work out that way. See, this is another thing I think that's really bad about Maricis is I'm assuming all of these just lock you into water monsters. Yeah. So, meaning you can't really OTK your opponent. You can get yourself set up very nicely, but that's about it. And I'm just staring at this Kaiju in my hand knowing I'm feeling confident enough that he's not going to kill me in one turn. And this is going to be it. I have the Harpies and the Kaiju. That's it. I don't know. He does negate that, which is kind of a net neutral interaction. It definitely helps me survive, but I have the Evenly Matched. He decides to keep the field spell. That's even better for me. And of course, I have Numeron Wall in my hand. I'm going to go ahead and activate that Numeron Network. And you guessed what I was going to go into next, Megaclops. If it ain't broke, you know, just keep going for it. This is just going to be pretty much a waste of everyone's time. Although I think if he does go full combo, it's 4,500 attack. And I think he actually does do that. But when you have so much space in your deck for stuff like Kaijus, you're never really too worried about any particular out. Totally Awesome does nothing with now that Megaclops is on the board. Here he goes. He may be able to tap me for 500 attack, or 500. And we'll see shortly here that the duel will come to its conclusion. And I know with 3 cards left in his extra decks, he definitely doesn't have the out necessary. Even if he somehow gets rid of the Mega Clops, I just have my Sky Striker Ray and all my Sky Striker stuff, and I can just attack directly with Hayate. And there's no problem. Which is probably what I'll do here. I think I can take control of the Bahamut Shark. Cool thing about Widow Anchor that just kind of flies under the radar is that the monster can't attack, which is always really good. Here was a match, I believe, against Mutant. So he probably expected me to go first, I guess because he saw I was using Numeron stuff. But of course, I always want to go second. This is a stun deck. Yeah, most people don't realize that Infinite Impermanence does actually go after the monster, for sure. It only takes is 1 card to basically end your opponent. And this is another case where I think I go into Mega Clops because I think it's all fusion monsters. And especially when you see a Pot of Extravagance card like that, that's pretty much a good indication that this guy is only running fusion. He does have the Nova. He must have banished. See, if you're playing Extravagance, I would definitely not recommend playing 1 copy of Nova. No, he's not. Okay, so I don't really know why he's doing that. Interesting. Anyways, he did end up getting rid of the Mega Clops, but that's okay because I have all this Sky Striker stuff that's going to help me out. So the control aspect is back on for me. I think he does have the Lightning Storm, but still, I think I'm able to kind of keep my advantage. I wonder when we're going to get a reprint of this card, because it would be great to have some sort of accessibility to it. I like Mutants. I'm just not super interested yet. I think it needs to be a little more developed. I'm able to solidify my defenses in a sense, and the quick effect's always good to just kind of gain your advantage back. And it looks even better when you have a card like Multirole on your side. He's going to go ahead and tag that off, so that was basically a net neutral interaction. And he very smartly does that. I probably should have set this Multirole long ago. He keeps kind of bricking a little bit, goes into his fusion monster. And I do want to protect this Multirole, obviously. But I think he has an effect that helps him be unaffected. Vanish does not look good for me. I ripped this Pot of Avarice, which is huge. Luckily, didn't have an Ash Blossom or anything like that. It's really a lifesaver, and this is just like an odd, like couldn't get better in terms of a 2-card combo. This gets my entire engine started. I get the Ray. I'm going to be able to attack directly, so really, I'm not worried about too much of what he has going on because I'm going to be able to pop this evenly match, which may or may not have come in handy or come into effect. You can put it in defense mode, but which was cool. I mean, at that point, I had so many spell cards in there. This was pretty much the perfect card to have, the punishment. But I still have enough cards on my extra deck, I feel, to kind of help me out. In this case, I'm going to use Zeke. He's unaffected by card effects, so we're really going for it. I think I do have the 1 Hayate left. Let's see. No, I don't, so I definitely need that pot, the Pot of Avarice to kind of help me out. It does have the There Can Be Only One. Trying to, I forced out his effect, and it didn't really matter in the end, too. All these cards are a waste at this point. Shizuku comes in clutch. I love this card. It's really good. Looks like we're coming up just on the last 3 duels here. I'm assuming this was... Maybe he main decks evenly matched. I think this was the first of our game. I think I allowed him to go second. There's just too many choke points in Mutant for my liking. The thing about Numeron Network, obviously, is that it can't be Ash Blossom. It sends from deck, which is nice. That's really a good thing. I mean, everyone probably, I'm sure you know that, but if you don't, Multirole can check Area 0. Silly of him to try to target my Ray. I can just tag it out at any time. And slowly but surely, I'm picking apart his board. I know he can use the Psy-Frame Gear Gamma again, but I do want to make sure that I can pop his back row, and I definitely made the right choice there. In that case, I forced this out. That's completely fine with me, because I know it's going to trigger my Ray to come back. And I feel pretty happy about that. He's bricking, he hasn't drawn into his mutant stuff. That's the thing I think with mutants that worries me the most, that there isn't enough flexibility when it comes to siding cards. And again, Multirole is just the MVP of the deck. If you ever need to use Numeron Network at any time, because it just requires monsters. You don't need to. You can control their cards, obviously. You can send whatever card you have the extra monster zone, and then take care of business. I was obviously going to go into Mega Clops, and that would have been game ending for him. Here is a matchup against Pendulum. Doesn't have a particularly great one, although cards like No Material obviously are going to be quite helpful. I figure he's going to get a bunch of negates on the board, so I go ahead and fire off this Numeron Network now. As far as I can tell, they don't really have an out. Let's see. Odd Eyes Revolution, that's not going to do it. So, yeah, Pendulum don't really go too far into the XZ's place. So, if I can get the effect off on some level, I know I'm okay. And, I mean, he has the right hand. And that's the other thing, that they also don't normally have a way to get rid of Numeron Network, like, right off the bat. So, if it's on the field, it's probably going to stay there. I have to bait out the King Jackal. He's obviously going to be forced to negate. I have the Calling, and I think that's it for him, as far as I can tell. And that's going to go to 8,000. He's going to be able to add a, a Endymion, but it doesn't matter. So that's pretty decent, although normally you're able to put up much better boards. This is the last duel, and this is really cool because you would think that Sky Striker would never have a chance against a random stun deck. But there is enough versatility in the deck to actually get the job done. That's a pretty good card to rip off the top. And normally their Chameleon one is pretty bad actually for Sky Strikers, but the cool thing is that the Numeron Network summon counts as one, and you can do the additional one after, although most of the time it won't matter. Infinite Impermanence is just such an influential card. Because it's going to negate that there can be only one, which helps me use this Numeron Network. And he also can't Solemn Strike it either. He's going to use that, but that's okay. I mean, once I clear his board, I'm not sure what he's going to do, especially when I go into Mega Clops, I believe. And he ended up surrendering, but of course, he probably wouldn't have had anything, which is really cool. So that was a long-winded look at it. I may do an updated deck profile. You guys will have to let me know. But that's just a quick look in about the versatility. I think I played a little bit of casual, a little bit of some meta for sure. I wasn't able to play too much, but I think you guys got a good look at the potential of the deck. So it's just kind of be there, nothing else. But I think that's okay. Other than that, guys, that's going to do it for tonight, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.